There is an insane claim going around the internet that Netanyahu is Polish and he isn't really a Jew at all. And this idea gained traction when it appeared on the huge podcast of the Hodge twins, who have around 15 million followers. To get a sense of who these guys are, let's just play a few of their clips.
I'm not down with the Jews right now. For some odd reason, I got recommended a Adolf Hitler speech. I heard him, I was like, wow. I wish somebody for the United States would speak like that. I mean, am I wrong? When I listen to a speech, it's
no,
nothing
you're not
about
wrong. The guy was really based, and he said some
like,
tremendous
oh my God,
things.
am I crazy? Yeah, Zelensky, he's Jewish.
He is.
Yeah.
Every single time, man.
I was like, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I think it's just a coincidence.
You can't give Gentiles gifts, but you can give them gifts if it's to ingratiate yourself with them in a business relationship.
So that's where
says.
That's where that stereotype comes for Jews, because it's in their Bible. You see, you are anti-Semitic.
Now that you have a sense of who they are, let's go to the theory that they're peddling. Well, they were interviewing a guy called Stu Peters, who's even more bigoted than they are, which is quite hard to believe, but it's true. And he was on their podcast, and as always, they started talking about us. And this is what they had to say.
The people that Israel is killing right now, those are the real Semitic people. And the
Yes.
people that are doing the killing
Because
are not Semitic people.
they're from Europe, and they was brought to a Semitic region.
You absolute moron. The majority of Jews that live in Israel have never set foot in Europe. Their ancestors have never set foot in Europe. They have always lived in the Middle East. And yet here you are saying that they were put there from Europe. They weren't put anywhere. The Jews became a people in the Middle East and we never left. What he's talking about are Ashkenazi Jews, and Ashkenazi Jews also originate from Israel. Genetically, they trace their roots back to 4 matriarchs who arrived in Europe from the Middle East. Jews moved throughout the Roman Empire, and they settled in many different territories like Hispania, like Germania, and they evolved there over time and stayed there. And then some of those Jews, following the relentless persecution inflicted on them by their European neighbors, said, enough is enough. We're going home. We're going back to Israel, where our great-great-great-great-grandparents came from. But they're not the majority. The majority of Israeli Jews never left the Middle East.
Did you know that Benjamin Netanyahu, Benjamin Milkowski, as his real name is,
Milkowski?
is actually from Poland and is not Semitic at all.
So his real name is not Netanyahu?
No.
This is like the blind leading the blind, or the low IQ leading the even lower IQ, if that is possible. You see, Jews never had last names traditionally. We simply had our first name, then it was followed by son of or daughter of our parents' names. And around 200 years ago, our oppressors in Europe, particularly places like Poland and Russia, forced the Jewish people to take on last names for tax purposes. So what did we do? We took on names that were common in those areas. So that's why Jews from Germany have German sounding names, and Jews from Poland have Polish sounding names. Goldberg, Gold Mountain, Milakowski. These are not Hebrew words. And if you look at the Hebrew names of people like Benjamin Netanyahu, actually let's look at his own family tree. This is the grave of Natan ben Tzvi Halevi, or Nathan Milakowski, his grandfather. And what's incredible is anyone who knows the first thing about Judaism would pay attention to the word Halevi. What does that mean? Nathan ben Tzvi Halevi, that he is from the tribe of Levi. We literally have his Jewish tribe, which pinpoints him not only to the Jewish people, but to the family of Moses. Like he belongs to that same tribe. The Kohanim and the Leviim have this kind of this denoted on their tombstones to this day. And what's even more incredible is this is a clip of Benjamin Netanyahu, saying he descends from a particular rabbi called the Vilna Gaon.
Mishum she, my brother, Ido, who is a writer and doctor, people come to him who are doing DNA tests for family trees. And their thesis was that among the Lithuanian Jews, we came from a Lithuanian family connected to, not connected, descendants of the Vilna Gaon. And there was a thesis that there is an element of Sephardic Jews there. He did a saliva test. And indeed, it turned out that at least part of this lineage needs to be attributed to Sephardic Jews.
Now, what's incredible about this clip is not only does it say that not only is he not a Polish Jew, that his ancestors actually lived in Iberia for a period, but it also names a Lithuanian rabbi, the Vilna Gaon, an incredible rabbi who actually traces his lineage to another rabbi called Rashi. Now, Rashi traces his lineage to King David. So here you have Netanyahu, who, according to what he's saying in the clip, descends from King David. And so we have the Levium, the Levite line, going all the way back to Israel, the Davidic line going all the way back to Israel, yet these jokers want to try and claim that he's just a Pole who's adopted a Jewish identity. Actually, let me play a clip where they say explicitly this.
So he changed his name so he appeared more Jewish?
This argument is so dumb. It's like saying that the two gentlemen that you're looking at are fake black people. You see, Hodge is a medieval Anglo-Saxon name. And how could two African Americans have an Anglo-Saxon name? Well, we all know why. It's because many slaves were given the names of their European masters. And actually, I'm not going to explain this. Let's listen to two African Americans who changed their names for this very reason.
Why don't you like to be called Clay anymore?
No, Clay was not my name. Once we follow, believe, understand the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and come into knowledge of ourselves, then we want to be called after names of our people, which are names that fit us black people. And Clay was a white man's name. It was a slave name. And I'm no longer Clay, I'm no longer a slave, so now I'm Muhammad Ali.
Mr. O'Connor.
What is your real name?
Malcolm X. Excuse me for answering you this way.
That's
if
all right.
a Chinese person were to say his name was Patrick Murphy, you would look at him like he's insane, because Murphy is an Irish name, a European name, or the name that has a Caucasian or white background. And a yellow person, Chinese is a yellow man, and he has nothing to do or no connection whatsoever with the name Murphy. And if it doesn't look proper for a person who is yellow or Chinese to be walking around named Murphy or Jones or Johnson or Bunch or Powell, I think it would be just as improper for a black person. During slavery, the same slave master who owned us put his last name on us to denote that we were his property.
And they weren't alone. You had Malcolm Little changing his name to Malcolm X, then El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. You had Cassius Clay changing his name to Muhammad Ali. You had Stokely Carmichael changing his name to Kwame Ture. You had Lance Taylor changing his name to Africa Bambata. This was commonplace. It's part of that decolonization process. And Jews went through that very same thing. So Netanyahu did not change his name to appear Jewish. In fact, it was his father who changed the name, and he did so, like many of the Zionists of that period, because they wanted to shed the names of their oppressor. They wanted to revert back to their Hebrew names, which were actually indigenous to that region. And so Netanyahu simply means God has given. And in shedding the name of the ghetto, Milakovsky, the name of the oppressor, the Netanyahu family reconnected with their ancestral traditions as Jews who go back to Israel.
Yeah, right.
And why is it racist to be asking this question? It's when really race doesn't have anything to do with being a Jew, because Jews are from everywhere. They're from Poland, they're from Russia, they're from everywhere.
Confused.
Right? So like,
But are they from everywhere?
I mean, black people are from Africa.
Right,
I mean, I'm not retarded. I know that.
Yeah.
You know,
These people are so dumb. How do they have 15 million followers? They're literally refuting themselves. They're looking around and saying you have black people all over the world today, but their ancestors came from Africa. Yeah, Mazal Tov, Kol HaKavod, well done. Jewish people, however, as they point out, they're everywhere. Jews are in Poland, Jews are in England, Jews are in America. But they can't have a place where they came from. They just somehow spontaneously emerged in these different locales, and this cosmopolitan mass, that have never had roots anywhere. No. Jews came from Judea. The children of Israel, the people of Israel, the Israelites came from the land of Israel. It's all in the name. We can literally follow the different branches of the Jewish people as they disperse from the land and scattered across the different nations of the earth. Interestingly, in contrast, the Arabs were from Arabia and they came to the land, but they were seeming to infer at the beginning that they were the real Semites. They're from the Semitic family, but so are the children of Israel. This has been one of the dumbest videos I've ever responded to, but because they had 15 million followers, it's probably worth refuting. And so yeah, if you've liked this video or you have thoughts on it, let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to help us make more videos like this, then you can do so by following this link.